Reading is the best habit I've picked up over the last few years. My only regret with reading is not starting it earlier. Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to another video. Here's a quick rundown of what you're going to see in this video, and as usual, timestamps are in the description below, so if you want to jump ahead, feel free to just click in the description below and you can do that. Before I start, I just want to mention something. Usually when I say something about reading, people often think that it's something that's boring or nerdy, and I completely get that because I used to think the same. But this video is mainly for people who aren't into reading, because I think after you watch the video and you see what I have to say, I might be able to change your opinion on reading and hopefully get you into it, because it's a phenomenal thing to do. I was thinking about this actually, about why you might find reading boring, right? Back when I was in school, my first real exposure to reading books was GCSE English, and I remember reading Of Mice and Men. Now, I'm not hating on the book, but that's not my cup of tea with books, and that was probably like the first proper book I kind of bought and I was forced to read it. I didn't want to read it, but that's the first kind of book that I read. I didn't particularly enjoy it, and then I kind of had this idea that, oh, I read one book, didn't like it, so that means I'm not gonna like any book, and I never looked into reading or anything like that afterwards. It was only when I was 18 or 19 and I was at university, that's when I properly discovered reading, and that's when I started looking at different types of books, different genres, and I tried a few things, and then I found what I liked, and now I'm like obsessed. You know, I love reading. So hopefully with this video I'll talk about my journey with reading, and hopefully if you don't like reading, you can maybe go across the same kind of journey and you might find it useful for yourself. There's a quote that says, "Read what you love until you love to read." And that's pretty much what I did with reading. So I knew that I liked football, so I thought, let me find a book about football, and I discovered autobiographies. So I read I Am Zlatan, which is Zlatan Ibrahimovic's autobiography. Now, hear me out, okay? If you don't enjoy football, if you don't watch it, if you don't know who he is, basically he's a footballer, he's quite a successful entrepreneur, he's a very funny guy. There's a lot of memes about him, and he scored this goal against England.
Hart didn't quite get that right. Oh, look at that! That is absolutely astonishing. You won't see a better goal than that this season.
So basically, this was the start of my reading journey. I read this book in probably less than a week, and it was like this thick. And at the time, you know, having never read a book before properly, that was like a huge achievement for me. I was literally hooked. I was reading it all day, all night, in car journeys, whenever I possibly could, because I just enjoyed it so much. And initially when I read it, I thought, okay, this is a book about football, and it's about someone who I know, so maybe it'll be interesting. And it turned out to be something way much more than that. Like, it was his autobiography. It was about a guy who grew up in poverty and who was bullied as a child, and he turned out to be one of the most successful footballers in the world, and how he kind of turned his life around. So that book alone, it started off as interest in football, and it finished with an interest in success stories. And that's what led me down the road to reading self-help books, which is basically my main genre that I read now. And that's literally my favourite type of book to read. So that's my journey, that's my reading journey in a nutshell. What I did was, after I read this book, I bought another, and every time I read a new book, I would kind of realise what I like and what I don't like in terms of books. So fast forward, how many years has it been since then? Like 4 or 5 years now? Now I know when I pick up a book, I can literally flick through the contents and read the blurb, and I know exactly whether I'm going to like this book or not. And the more books you read, the more you realise what's for you and what's not for you. So my reading journey basically started with thinking of one thing that I'm interested in, finding a book about that, reading it, and then just taking it from there. And every time you read one more, you will learn more about what you like to read. Okay, here are 7 reasons why reading is really good. Reason number 1. This is: everything you have ever wanted to know has been written in a book. Now, I know this mainly applies to non-fiction books, so sorry if you're into fiction, but this is a good reason anyway. Everything you've wanted to know has been written in a book. Every time there's been a discovery or something like that, it's written down on paper, in a book, in some form of writing. So it's just like a no-brainer. Like, everything you want to know in the world is in a book somewhere. So all you have to do is start reading books, and you will eventually come across the things that you want to know about. Okay, reason number 2, right? There are more things in the book category than there are in music and than there are in video. So if you can find music that you like, and if you can find videos, movies, whatever that you like, then you are bound to find books that you like, because there are more books than there are songs, there are more books than there are videos, movies, etc. And just think about how long books have been around. Books have been around for centuries, like probably like more than thousands of years. Videos have only been about for about 100, 200 years or something, probably less, okay? So there's just so much more to choose from with books than there is with video and music. It's almost like a no-brainer that you are going to find something somewhere that you enjoy. Okay, reason number 3. Books are cool because you can read at your own pace. So if you're reading a fiction book and you're reading a story and you get to really, one of the best parts, or something crazy just happened, you can like pause, you could just close your book and you can just like take in what's just happened. Or if you're reading the best part of the book, that's, something that you enjoy and you want that part to last as long as possible, you can read it nice and slow. And then when you're reading something that's not so, there's a fly here that's annoying me. If you're reading something that's not so interesting, maybe like the boring part, you can kind of read faster and you can change the pace to how you're feeling. So you can read at your own pace. And I quite like that. Like the amount of times I read something really big in a book and then I just closed the book and put it down just to like deep what's happened. You can't do that with video and music and other things. Like you can't do that if you're watching a movie. The movie just goes at its own pace. It's not like you're going to rewind it or play it in slow motion or speed it up, is it? But you can't do that that would be weird. But with books, you have this, you can literally control the pace, and I really like that. Okay, reason number 5. I think books are, you can call me old-fashioned, but it's a nice way to disconnect from the world. I think nowadays, most of the things that we do, whether it's watching something, listening to something, basically like absorbing any form of information or content, it always comes from something digital. It's always a laptop or a phone or a camera or a TV screen. Books are probably like one of the only things that are left where there's no technology involved, there's no distractions. If you're reading a book, the only thing you're going to see are the words written on the book. There's no notification that's going to pop in through page 5 or whatever. Like, it's a nice way to disconnect and kind of give yourself a rest from all the information that's out there in the world. So I think that's kind of nice. It just gives you a break. I'm sure everyone can do with that, right? Okay, reason number 5. Reading is really easy, surprisingly, right? All you need to read a book is a book and eyes. That's literally all it takes. So it doesn't matter where you are, it doesn't matter what you're doing. You just need to pick up a book and start reading. So it's one of the easiest things to do. I used to think, how am I going to find the time to read a book before I started reading? But once I started, I realized it's not that hard. It only takes 10 or 15 minutes of reading per day to finish a book in like 2 or 3 weeks. Like everyone has 10 or 15 minutes spare. You could literally wake up 10 minutes early every day and just read your book for 10 minutes before you get out of bed, or 10 minutes before you sleep. And you'll get in so many pages throughout a week. Also, I read something recently that the average person nowadays reads the equivalent of a 200-page book throughout the day through tweets, text messages, Instagram captions, road signs, and things like that. So if you just trade like some of the time you're spending maybe watching TV or on your phone for reading a book, you can quite easily get in like 10, 20, 30 pages a day. And with an average book, you'll finish that within 2 or 3 weeks. So it's really not that hard. Okay, number 6, I think we're on. Books are better than movies. I'm sure everyone's heard this. If you've read a book and then you've watched the movie of the book, I'm sure you will agree that books are better than movies. They can go into way more detail. Everything's open to imagination, so you can kind of form the story in your head versus watching it and having it how it is. And again, remember the point I mentioned earlier about how you can go at your own pace? You can do that when you're reading a book, and you can't do that when you're watching the movie, so it's quite nice. Also, the average movie is about 3 hours long, and the average book is about 10 hours long. So do you know the best part, like the plot and the middle? In a movie, that's going to be 30, 45 minutes, right? But with a book, it's going to be 3 or 4 hours of reading. So think about it. You've got 45 minutes of good stuff versus 3 or 4 hours of good stuff for the book. So that's why I think books are better than movies. That being said, I do like movies, so there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not hating on movies. I'm just saying you should try reading books as well. You should try this. Try finding a movie that you've enjoyed and read the book for it, and I guarantee you'll enjoy the book more. Okay, there were 7 reasons at the beginning, but now there's 6 because I realized one of them's a bit, I don't want to use it as a reason, so we're going to stick with 6. Okay, I think that's enough reasons for reading right now. The takeaway message from this video is just try reading if you haven't already. Try finding something that you're interested in, okay, and then try finding something to read on that topic. And it doesn't have to be a book, okay? People get this twisted that reading means books. It doesn't always mean books, okay? Reading can be done like online. You can be reading a blog, you can be reading some sort of website. You could just literally like do some Google browsing around some topic that you're interested in. That's basically classed as reading as well. It's just easier with a book because everything's in one place, right? Yeah, I think that's everything. So if you made it this far into the video, thank you for watching, and you know, like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more, and drop a comment below. If you're not into reading, tell me, I don't know, which reason did you like the most, and if you do read, drop a book recommendation below, like your favorite book of all time, maybe your top 3, because I'm looking for something new to read at the moment and struggling to find something.